Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December 8th combined meeting for the Vineland Board of Education. Roll call, please. Mrs. Leary.
Ms. Acosta? Here. Mrs. Cotasbati?
Present.
Mr. Fiocchi? Mr. Holmes?
Here.
Mr. Rivera?
Here.
Mrs. Sabrana?
Present.
Mr. Silva? Ms. Spinelli?
Here.
Mr. English?
Here. We have a quorum. Thank you very much. In compliance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law, commonly referred to as the Sunshine Law, the Vineland Board of Education has caused notice and posting of this meeting to be sent to the following, announcing time and place thereof, agenda, etc. The Daily Journal, SNJ Today, the Press of Atlantic City, Nuestra Comunidad, Visto Bueno, the Clerk for the City of Vineland, and the Administrative Office Public Bulletin Board. At this time, I would ask that everyone please rise for the flag salute. To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Leary, do we have a resolution for executive session this evening?
Not at this time.
Thank you very much. At this time, Superintendent Yana, do we have any special presentations?
Yes, our first special presentation is from Sergeant Dominic Pillar Middle School's choir, who will perform a holiday medley under the direction of Mrs. Jasenia LaRue, music teacher and choir director.
Hello. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I want to say thank you so much for inviting us to sing for you guys. We have 3 musical selections prepared for you to commence this holiday season. Our first one is titled Kwanzaa by Teresa Jennings. Our second selection will be a solo, okay, sung by Samantha Torres, titled One Light, a Hanukkah song. And for those who celebrate Hanukkah, I know the last day was December 6th, but it's such a beautiful song, you know, to commemorate such a memory. So our last one we will end with is the Christmas song, a classic, okay, in the style of Christmas. So here we go. Thank you so much for joining us, and parents for your support. I also want to give a special thank you to Miss Salerno and Miss Missouri and our principals, Mr. Bermudez and Miss Finizio.
vacation. We would like to wish you a happy and blessed holiday season. We hope you enjoy this precious time with your family and friends. We invite you to our next performance on December 20th at 6 p.m. Happy holidays.
Wonderful job, students. Thank you for singing this evening, representing your school. We have some certificates for you, which we will give to your instructor here, and she will hand them out to you. We wish each one of you a happy holiday season, and we'll get on the answer. Absolutely. Have some good singing there. Thank you. A lot better than me. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
So I just want to say thank you for that wonderful performance. The holiday music certainly puts us in the mood for time with family and friends. At this time, I'd like to begin the second presentation for this evening, which is a recognition of a community member. So again, I'm Mr. Yano, your superintendent, and tonight I'd like to recognize Mr. Scott English. Mr. English was born and raised in Vineland and often reminded everyone who would listen to him that he's from Vineland. He attended our schools, and he graduated from Vaughan High School in 1985. Don't do the math because you might make him mad. He was elected to the board in 2010 and served through 2016, and during those years he served as vice president and as board president twice. And then he took some time off, and everyone thought he was done. But no, he came back in 2019 and served as board president for the next 3 years. His motto is communication, collaboration, and transparency. And he serves our students' families and with dedication and passion. And he used that word passion quite often. He also monopolized the microphone and never met a timer that he didn't violate. So tonight, join me in celebrating Mr. English and the time that he spent with this board. I only knew him for a short amount of time, but I definitely learned a lot from him, and I appreciate the effort and the mentoring that he provided as I came into this position. I have a few gifts for him, but let's just give him a round of applause for his service. And these are some very special gifts that were curated by our own team. We have a brick from Landis. This is yours to hold on to and not to throw at our school. So come on down, you can receive your brick. Proudly provided by Mr. Farnaccio.
There might be some people who want to throw that.
That's why we have to take the brick up there. So we have a brick for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And we're not done. So we have a tile from Vineland High School of when you were there, autographed by our own celebrity board members and team members here, so very valuable. We have a special social distance sticker that you can place around you, you know, so this one remembers your time as board president during our COVID pandemic. You have this wonderful swag bag full of goodies that we'd like you to take home.
Thank you.
You are welcome. And last but not least, we have a certificate for you, a plaque that we'd like you to proudly place in your office at home.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you again, Mr. English.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. All right. And we have our third presentation. I don't have the title in front of me, but I believe it's our auditor's report, correct? Yeah, right. So come on up, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Garcia. I'm from Ford Scott & Associates. I am here to present the results of the school district's audit for the 2021 school year. So that's the year that ended June 30th of 21. As a reminder, all school districts in New Jersey are currently awaiting some information from the state that gets disclosed in your audit report. So you don't have the final report yet. The state has extended the due date for the final report to February 5th. The hope is that they'll provide that information as soon as possible so you can get a complete audit report. But for tonight, in order to give you timely information, we decided it would be best to present this in draft form because the information that we're waiting for from the state won't affect anything we're going to discuss tonight. And it will, and of course the most important thing that we're going to discuss tonight is the surplus condition of the district. So we wanted to be able to give you this draft data so that you have some timely information and ultimately you will receive the final report when we receive the information from the state. And that information we're waiting for is relative to pension and health benefits, and it affects all school districts. First, as a quick reminder, when we do the audit of a school district, it really has two components. First, of course, we're looking at the numbers, the financial statements and the dollar amounts. But we're also required to perform testing to determine that the school district is following the rules and regulations that the state of New Jersey and the federal government impose on school districts. Whenever we find errors or exceptions in those areas, we're required to write a finding and recommendation that the board would address for corrective action. I'm happy to report that there is a clean audit this year, so there are no findings and recommendations. There won't be a formal corrective action plan required because we didn't find any areas that were reportable for finding and recommendation. We will discuss the financial statements a little bit. We did hand out at the beginning of the meeting, Scott did, a draft C1 exhibit from the audit report, and hopefully we all have this. It's marked draft, and it's about 10 pages long, but I really want to draw your attention to the very last page, and if we could all turn to that last page so you can follow along with me. This is where we'll see the surplus condition. And just as a brief reminder, this C1 exhibit is the general fund's budgetary comparison statement. So when you get the main audit, when the audit is issued in final form, this is the main financial statement where the general fund balance and financial position is reported. You'll see when you look through this in depth, the first page has the revenues, and then we have the line-by-line spending and appropriations. Once again, for tonight's meeting, I don't plan on going in detail line by line through the revenues or expenditures, but I do want to point out to the board and to the public the areas that I think are most significant for the school district, especially when it comes to your budgeting process. And that's being aware of what the ending surplus condition is. At the bottom of the page, of this final page, you will see a recapitulation of balances, and it starts with a maintenance reserve in the amount of $776.77. Do we all see that number? Because that's where I'm going to begin from. As everyone is aware, the rules for accounting for school districts dictate that your fund balance be broken down into several components, and I'm going to go through those components with you briefly. First, that $776 is the maintenance reserve. The maintenance reserve funds are set aside and can only be used for the maintenance and repairs of your buildings. Right below that, we have an account called that's titled Reserve for Excess Surplus in the amount of $14,761,367.18. As a recap, the state of New Jersey imposes a restriction on the amount of unassigned or unreserved surplus that school districts are allowed to maintain from one year to the next. For many years, that percentage has been 2%. For 2021, the state passed a law to allow school districts to go to 4% rather than 2%. And the reason for that was to provide school districts with some extra rainy day funds relative to the COVID situation. So we are now, for 2021 and 2022, allowed to go to 4%. It's only, the current law expires after 2 years and we'll go back to 2%. But to bring us back to this number, this $14,761,000, that is the amount that we are above 4% at June 30th. At first glance, that's a pretty significant number. But right below it, you will see the account that is titled Reserve for Excess Surplus Designated for Subsequent Years Expenditures of $13,096,000. That's the amount that you were above the 2% number at June 30th of 2020. At June 30th of 2021, that money is still in your bank account, but is all required to be used to fund your current budget. By current budget, we mean now the 21-22 school year. So the year that we're currently in is utilizing $13,096,000 of these excess surplus funds. So the $14,700 that we discussed right before that, that money is set aside and must be used for your next budget. So that $14 million is not free and available. It's already spoken for in your 22-23 school budget that you'll be working on shortly. You're required to use all of those funds. So you see you are somewhat ahead, but not significantly ahead when you look at the overall size of the budget, but you do have some additional excess surplus funds. Right below that, we have a reserve for unemployment. Previously, the unemployment account was not shown in the general fund. Due to a change in accounting rules, the unemployment fund is now shown as part of this general fund. So you have $467,000 that is reserved and restricted, can only be used for unemployment claims. Due to COVID, Vineland, as long as most school districts in New Jersey, did see increased unemployment charges during the pandemic. We also have an area that is entitled assigned fund balance that is assigned to encumbrances in the amount of $1,113,337.40. These encumbrances are funds that are set aside to pay vendors who had bills outstanding that were related to the 2021 school year. It's total normal operating procedure that the vendors don't get all of their paperwork in by June 30th in order to be paid. So that money is set aside when they have completed all the paperwork, invoices, vouchers that are required, and the board has approved payment, those funds are released. So that $1,113,000 has now been spent against those open bills. We also have an amount of $433,982.26 that is additional fund balance that's designated for subsequent years' expenditures. Along with the $13,096,000 that we talked about of prior year's excess surplus, the board also applied this $433 to balance the 21-22 school year budget. So in total, we used $13,096,000 and $433,000 to fund the 21-22 school budget. That's totals about $13.5 million are the surplus funds that were applied to fund that budget. Finally, that leaves us with our unassigned fund balance of $7,164,356.69. This is the number that is now a 4% calculation. That's the maximum amount that you're allowed to retain from one year to the next. When you look at a budget of your size, that's really not a significant amount, but in reality, the $7 million number of all of the surpluses that you have, the $7 million is the only thing that is actually available. Everything else has already been used to fund the current year's budget or is required by statute to be used to fund next year's budget. So the $7 million is what you have as basically your rainy day fund that you can accumulate from one year to the next. Remember, that number is based on 4% of your expenditures. If and when the law changes, like I said, the current law has a 2-year sunset that we would go back to 2%. If the law is not changed, we will have to reduce that to 2% in 2 years, meaning you'd only be able to retain about $3.6 million, and therefore excess surplus might be generated at a higher amount than we did this year and last year. But once again, we don't know what's going to happen legislatively with that law. We're currently allowed to maintain 4% number. The district does have 4% number, so you are in as strong a financial position as you're allowed to be, and you do have these surplus accounts, but remember, they are already applied and designated for current year's spending and next year's budget. That is my recap of the financials and the fund balance. We did go over the audit in depth with your business administrator previously. For tonight's meeting, though, the areas that I did want to hit were the fact that there are no findings and recommendations, and discuss the surplus condition. Of course, as always, if there are any comments or questions you have for me, things that I didn't cover in this brief presentation, I'm always happy to answer.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Garcia this evening?
Mr. President, in regard to the cap change, I'm sure there's been lots of discussion about that. Is there any likelihood at all that it would roll right back to the 2%?
Yeah, I don't want to guess, because that's all it would be, is a guess at this point. But I believe the fact that the state recognized 2% was a very low number. You may remember 15 years ago the number was 6%, and they decreased it from 6 to 4 to 2. I think it's a good sign that the state realized 2% is too low of a number. It took a pandemic for them to realize that, but they did. So I'm hopeful that they may realize, we got to 4%. It wasn't the end of the world for tax increases. That's the reason, that's the state's reason for going to a lower percentage, because they force you to use more of your surplus to balance the budget. So I don't think we've seen outrageous tax increases in school districts statewide. So that leads me to hope that there's a chance they may continue the 4%. Additionally, there are many school districts that in the past, because of that 2% being such a low amount, many school districts in past years have had to go out and actually borrow money to pay June bills, because in addition to being at 2%, the state withholds from all school districts the final 2 state aid payments of the year, the June payments. They don't come in until July. So by keeping the 4% number, that would probably statewide decrease the numbers of school districts that need to borrow money in June, because they'll have a little more cushion, a cash flow cushion built into their surplus account. So I'm hopeful that it will continue at 4%, but at this point, I can't, it's a guess, but I'm hopeful that the state and the Department of Ed specifically sees the benefit of allowing school districts to retain a little more surplus, because it took a pandemic for this to go to 4%, and knock wood, we never have an event like this again, but things do come up, and having a little more flexibility in your surplus account is definitely beneficial for the schools, and it makes operating and cash flow easier. I tried to answer the best I could.
So the 4% applies to budgets 2022 and 2023?
It applies to the year that ended June 30th of 21 and 22, which then conversely affects the subsequent year's budget, as you stated.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions or comments from the board? As always, it's a clean audit, so that's a positive. And to your firm, thank you as always, and to our staff. Again, the credit goes to you guys. Great job.
Your staff does a great job. We just report the results.
Okay. Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Good night, everyone.
All right, do we have any questions or comments on our HIB report this evening? Seeing none, do I have a motion for the approval of minutes for November 10th, 2021 combined meeting and November 10th, 2021 executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please. Ms. Leary.
Mrs. Acosta?
Yes.
Mrs. Cataspati?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabrana?
Yes?
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Mr. English?
Yes. At this time, we have number 7 on our agenda. We are looking at committee reports. Do I have any committee reports this evening? Yes, Ms. Spinelli.
Good evening. I have 2 committee reports. The first one is our policy and personnel meeting. We met on December 1st. The items that were discussed were the vacancy positions as followed: accounting, assistant principal, basic skills teacher, carpenter, construction trade instructor, HVAC mechanic, plumber, principal clerk, security, and the softball coach. We also discussed physical education teacher transfer, Rover Labs on-site COVID testing, and the Wallace School acting principal. My next committee report is the Facilities Committee. Get this up. The Facilities Committee met on November 30th. Hold on, all these things are coming up on here. At 4 o'clock, we talked about the capital project update, the Vineland High School North Chiller, the Vineland High School North Concrete Project. We talked about the ESSER funds We talked about the ESIP, the Energy Savings Improvement Plan. And we talked about the boardroom table and the carpet update. The meeting was held in Zoom, and the HVAC prints were shared with members to review, and there was talking points. And that is it.
Busy. Do we have any other committee reports this evening? Mr. Costa, we're going to do committee first.
On November 15th, the Curriculum Instruction and Technology Committee met, discussed were the construction trades update. Happy to hear things are coming along very, very well. We also discussed the year one course for the Construction Technologies Academy. Also discussed at our meeting was the environmental earth science levels. We discussed the November 2nd, 2021 in-service day evaluation forms and feedback we received from the participants. Finally, we also discussed the assessments for elementary, middle, and high school students. And we also discussed ESSER funds. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Mr. Holmes.
Transportation Committee met on Thursday, December 2nd at 4:30. Present were myself, Mr. English, Ms. Lear, and Mr. Hall, and we discussed and got an update on the Stop Finder system that we're putting in place, hopefully soon, bus driver training, and bus driver call-outs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Holmes. Do we have any other standing committee reports? Seeing none at this time, Ms. Codispati, I believe you will be giving us an update concerning negotiations.
I will.
As negotiation chair, the floor is yours.
Generally, collective negotiations are confidential. While I will maintain the required confidentiality, after our last board meeting and our last mediation session, I believe it is necessary for me to inform the board of certain facts so that they may have a more complete picture of the status of negotiations with the VEA. The current agreement expired in June of this year. In order to try to get an agreement in place before it expired, we met with the VEA representatives as early as January to discuss beginning negotiations in light of the ongoing pandemic. Negotiations continued for several months. Ultimately, the VEA filed for impasse and a state mediator was appointed. Our first session with the mediator was September 22nd. At about 11 p.m. that evening, after negotiating for several hours, she sent us back to the negotiations table for another meeting. That meeting was held on October 20th, and again the parties met for several hours. On October 22nd, our Labor Council and the NJEA representative had a conference call with the mediator where it was decided she would come back for another mediation session. The second session was held on November 22nd. The mediation was moving forward, and the board had discussed with the mediator potential settlements. The mediation that evening was ended by the mediator, not by the choice of the board. Since then, the mediator has been in touch with the union representatives as well as our Labor Council. Additional settlement options were presented to the union, however, they were rejected. Last night, the mediator advised our Labor Council that she will be sending us to the next step in the process, which is fact-finding. Once a fact-finder is appointed, they will determine the next date that we will get together with the union. Due to confidentiality, I am unable to disclose the terms being discussed. However, it is our belief that the parties are not far apart, and we are hopeful that in this next step of the process, a reasonable resolution can be reached. When I have some further information that I am able to report, I will.
Thank you, Ms. Codispati. Just a quick question for you on that. As the year comes to an end, any discussion concerning will you be meeting before the end of the year, or will this be taking us into 2022?
When we hear back from the mediator as to the next process, as to when the fact finder will be appointed, that's when we will know. It's kind of out of our hands until that's appointed.
Can you please let them know that I would look forward to having a special meeting before I'm out of here?
I sure will.
I appreciate that. To my committee chairs and committee members, this comes to a close the month of December to our business for the year. It's been a strange year with the COVID and all the rule changes, and we've done everything from Zoom to face-to-face to phone calls to everything. And through it, we navigated, we ended up with positive, really great conversation and board business done through the committees. We have a new superintendent now. He sees how our committees go. We are governed by our committees, and I thank each one of you for the time that you put in for this, because I know whether it's 8 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock at night, we find ourselves available. So thanks to each one of you for putting in the time. And I believe that concludes our committee reports for this evening. At this time, do I have any public comments from my favorite board solicitor, Mr. DeSanto?
None, thank you.
None, thank you. Okay, my friend. At this time, we have public comment on agenda items or any other matter. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. What are we on, my friend? Oh, we need a motion? Oh, great. At this time, I need a motion to suspend Bylaw 0164 to provide for this meeting only that the public comment on the agenda items, any matter, be limited to 3 minutes for each speaker. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mrs. Cataspati?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes?
Ms. Spinelli? Mr. English?
Yes. Okay, at this time, I ask for public comment on all agenda items or any other matter, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone this evening?
Yes, we do. First, we have Ms. Vicki Miller. The topic will be Mr. English and buses.
Good evening, everyone. Today is a very sad day for me and I think for our entire community. It is Scott English's last Board of Education meeting. Scott has poured his heart and soul into his time as a board president, and our students and staff are better for it. Scott has always been honest, and he will tell you like it is, and that's something we have in common. I have always respected the way Scott does business, and I have enjoyed supporting and campaigning for him. And hopefully next year I can campaign for him again. Scott and I made a great team. He made me the unofficial 10th board member and always valued my opinion and the opinions of all Vineland community members. We will miss him as a board president, and whoever is next will have to fill big shoes. But I know that our next president and vice president will be up to the challenge anybody on that board. We need a fresh perspective and new ideas to keep moving forward. I hope that Meg Spinelli and Cedric Holmes are given the opportunity to lead this board. They are in our schools. They have worked hard for our students, just like the whole board. And they've always been upfront and honest about their business. They won't go behind your back to cut a deal. Soon, Scott has always encouraged me to speak my mind, and those qualities I see in Meg and Cedric. I also want to congratulate Renee Fabre on her victory. We can all learn a lot from Scott's communication, collaboration, and transparency. Motto, CCT. There's an old saying, you don't know what you got until it's gone. So I hope the board has learned a lot from the best board president, Scott English. Scott, I wish you well, happiness, and hope to see you on the ballot next year. Now the bad news. You know I was going to leave this. Now on to school business. I know we are struggling with buses being on time. If we do not have enough drivers. Let's look at Shepherd. It's not fair to the kids or the teachers who have to stay late at night. I mean 5 o'clock, 5:30, waiting for buses. It's not fair to special ed kids or any child on those buses. Their parents are waiting for them to get home. I just went off the thing. I'm just wishing that we look at other ways for our kids to get their education on time and be sent home on time. Teachers on time to go home. They put in a full day and many hours. This is all I got to say. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
Next, we have Mr. Michael Brosh. The name of the organization representing is the parents and the teachers. The topic is going to be student behavior, altercations, placements, and labor agreement.
Thank you. There's one other thing I'd like the board to consider before I go into that. It was a decision made by the board several years ago about a policy, and the specific policy is bring your own device. Okay? Bring your own device policy in my cell phone properly. They're using the cell phones to videotape fights. They're using the cell phones to take TikTok challenges and try to create havoc in our school building. There's different influencers that middle school students, they look at it and they think it's something good to do, and it's detrimental to our students that want to be there, and it's detrimental to our staff members. It's putting their safety in jeopardy. Okay? I asked the board to consider taking the bring your own device policy and abolishing it, basically, taking it out of play. That's my stand on that. Because it's not working, it's distracting. We have Chromebooks in every classroom in my building. We have iPads. We have all the technology we need. We don't need the cell phones. I could most likely speak for every teacher in the district that they would have to say 1 to 2 to 3 times for a student to put their cell phone away. Okay, so that's my stand there. The altercations. I've been teaching for 20 years, middle school level. 2 weeks ago, the building I taught at, we had 6 altercations in our building. I don't think there were 6 altercations in 1 year when I taught a couple years ago. I know the pandemic has been challenging for students' interaction, social interaction. We're retraining students to be social because of the 1.5 years off. But for a teacher to be fearful, to come out to the hallway, to monitor the hallway. We had a meeting. We had teachers that were fearful that they would get hit by other students causing mayhem in our building. I think the solution would be alternative placement. There's no room for students to fight in our building. There's no room for that, okay? Camelot program, Cunningham School. If a student fights or has an altercation, they shouldn't be in our building. Our building is there for learning. There's 95% of the students that want to be there to learn, and the 5% is ruining it for the 95%. I thought closely about talking about our labor contract as I'm sitting here waiting, and I don't think I'm going to speak about that tonight. I'm not going to speak about our labor agreement. I do know that I've been to a couple of VEA meetings where there's an action plan in place. We're going to follow that. I know that every teacher deserves to get their steps back, the pay freezes back. But as far as talking about what the plan is, I think I'm going to plead the fifth. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Brosh.
Next, we have Monica Fuller. The topic will be the VEA.
Good evening, everybody. 3 minutes, I'm going to try and keep it under. Well, actually, it's going to be really short. And congratulations, Mr. English. You have a good life out there, all right? So anyhow, I wanted to pop on in and just remind everybody that teachers are still doing our best. We're really like in there, we're holding it down. We're trying to keep the tussles under control with no contract. We are doing a lot. I did write some things down, but I just threw it to the wind. I'm just gonna let you know that we are in there and we are really holding it down. Like we are doing God's work in those buildings, okay? I'm sure not just at Pella. I've been a teacher in district for 18 years and this year is a struggle. I'm gonna tell you it is. But we are really like doing our best to hold it down, and I'm gonna agree with that gentleman that was just up here. The fights and things like that are happening in our buildings is really a huge distraction, right? But teachers and our support staff is the people who are moving it along and making sure that the students that are there to learn are getting the education. We're changing things on the whim. I mean, our day is, I think if we did everything that was given to us, it would be like 18 hours long, right? And we're still doing it with no contract. You know, I'm not understanding why we didn't get that appreciation that some of our other colleagues got to have a contract when they started our year, but I'm hoping that sooner than later we will, you know, have a fair settlement, because I don't think it's too much to ask, right? We're in there and we're holding it down. And for anybody who doesn't understand what we're doing in our classes, who think that we're just, you know, chilling, not really doing a whole lot, I would invite any of you to come past my class and not just pop in for like 5 minutes. Come on in, have a seat, spend the day. We are doing some owl pellet dissection for the next 2 or 3 days, and I could use so much help with my 6th graders. I'm in C208, okay? C208, and I'm a social studies teacher, so they really pack them in there tight, right? So I could use a lot of help. You can come on in, have a seat at my desk, because I never get to use it, all right? It's piled with papers. You can just out the way. And come on in and help. See what our day is like. Don't just walk by and wave. Stay. Come for the week. Teach a lesson, okay? Help. Because we are doing a lot, and I don't think that people understand what we're doing in there. It's not the regular, right? And I also want to say that if we're going to keep these computers, and they're lovely, we need to get something on them, some Go Guardian, something to stop these students from doing the things that they're doing. Okay? Thank you, everybody. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller.
Next, we have Mr. Nathan Farrell. The topic is going to be Memorial School.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to say to the teachers that are here, you guys have done an unbelievable job the last couple of years through this whole pandemic and everything. I greatly applaud you for that. And I wasn't aware of your situation, but we'll help support that as well. The biggest, I'm going to say some things that Mr. Broche said, and I'm glad that he brought them up. My son, who is probably the brightest person I know in my life, he's unbelievable. He's 12 years old. He knows what he wants to do already. At 12, I had no clue what I wanted to do. Okay, and he's pursuing those things. And my responsibility is to give him the environment and create the environment for him to flourish in those things. So I do, as a parent, I read your Facebook page. As a parent, you guys ask us to be aware of social media responsibilities and the TikTok things. I don't allow my kids to have Facebook, TikTok, anything until they have reached high school, okay? So my middle school son does not have a phone, okay? He's upset about it, but I don't allow that because I don't want the nonsense that goes on with all this social media and everything. So it's affecting him. He was so excited coming home the first month, talking about middle school and the freedoms that he has and, just growing to that next step. But those conversations have turned to the mayhem that's going on in the school. So, what you expect of me, I lay expectations on you as well, and that is to provide a safe, viable, atmosphere for my son so that he can grow and flourish there. So that is the biggest reason I came to speak tonight. He was a little leery of speaking. He did write a note, and my wife and I will forward that to you guys. But I would love to, see ideas on, again, Mr. Broche talked about taking away those things, but ideas on how we handle those situations and move beyond them. And one last thing I will say, and I'm not saying this to, I just have to say it. My son is capable of handling himself, but he is not taught to do that. He is taught to go away. He has missed lunch because most of these incidences happen around his locker. I guess there's a certain area where these things are going on. So they're happening around his locker, and he's unable to go to his locker. So in quick, he is capable of handling himself, and I don't want him to reach that situation and then we have to have a discussion of why you want to move my son out of your school system because he had to defend himself. So please address it before we get to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell.
Next, we have Mr. Jeff Linsop. The topic will be fights in the middle school at Memorial.
And that's Lindsay. Yeah, just to piggyback off of what everybody else is saying, what we're all concerned as parents and as citizens. But one thing that's concerned parents and citizens, and to everybody here tonight, we want to come with our complaints, but we definitely have to have our own solutions. We're not going to take anything away from the board, but we want to assist. This is what I think the lack of communication is what's going on. I'm a community activist. I do things in the community with gangs. And a lot of these problems are maybe starting at home. So a lot of people know their kids. Just like you said, you know your kids. He's intelligent. He wants to achieve and go to school to learn. I think kids that want to go to school to learn, they need to group up together and voice their opinions. And let the teachers know, like, listen, we are the kids that want to come to school to learn. And it's not right that we have to suffer because of some of the bad apples, and it looks like the bad apples are getting a lot of attention. but the wrong attention. So we're here talking about a few bad apples, but not talking about the kids that do want to go to school. We're talking about a few bad apples. We're not talking about the teachers that are putting themselves at risk, not just through COVID. Now we're hearing teachers are scared to come out into the hallways. So as we all sit up for the holidays and get ready to celebrate with our families, you know, I think we all should just sit back and relax. And then when we come back to these meetings, let's come with some solutions. Because we all know the problems, okay? We're all going to come up here and basically say the same thing. Oh, they're fighting, they're fighting. What is the solution? What can we do to make these kids want to come to school and learn? A lot of kids don't even want to go. I'm just being honest. My son doesn't want to go and come to school. And that's sad. And then when he comes to school, it's like anything that cancerous. It's contagious. So if the good kids are coming to school and they're trying to participate in learning, but the bad kids are not being rectified or chastised and fights keeps coming, how long for the good kids become part of this problem too? So what we want to do, right? And you see what's going to happen? So just like you said, it won't be a matter of time for your son has to be involved in something where he's getting, because my son just got in-school suspension. I'm not coming here like my son's an angel. He just got in-school suspension. I'm letting everybody out here know this. But, right, yeah, he did. But he was horse playing around in Memorial, right? He threw a water bottle, was one of his friends, and they're playing horse playing. But what I was trying to tell him, to let him know, like, listen, this is how fights start. You're not here to do that. So now you're going to handle your business and take the punishment that comes with it. He's going to apologize to the teachers and anybody else that was authority around. And now he understands what he's here to come to school for. But like I said, this is how it starts, the goofing off. And he's thinking, well, I didn't do anything wrong. They're fighting, they're stabbing. It said it was a stabbing at Memorial School, stabbing. Now, if we're not learning anything from COVID, from Detroit, wasn't there a shooting just a little while ago at a school where a kid, right? And listen to this. They were right there and sitting back out there to do it because of the lackadaisical attitude. So listen, board members, we're not here. Like I said, I'm here to assist you. It's not going to be, I'm not here to point the finger. How can I help? So let's come with some solutions. You know, you're going to hear a lot of grievances, probably about Memorial High School, or Memorial School over here. Landis is shut down. Landis had that same problem. So now the people from the school from Landis went to Memorial. So the kids that the product, remember, this is a product that you're putting out. Are you proud of the product that you're hearing about? This is under your watch. So now we're thinking about the product. So now we're going to go and send this product to Vineland High School, where they're going to be with all these other good kids from all around that just heard about the kids from Memorial. They were so glad they didn't have to go there. And these parents were so happy. Oh, I'm so glad, Johnny, you don't have to go through there. I'm not going to send you. But where are these kids from Memorial when they graduate go? Right over here with your kids at Vineland High School. So you're not going to run away from the problem. So let's nip it in the bud. Start it now. And then hopefully everybody will be on a nice note instead of having to sit around here and talk about kids fighting. We can start making the state and the government put more money into education if everybody sticks together. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't go too much over the 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Vineland.
Next, we have April Stevenson Kinder. The topic will be special education teachers and aides.
Hello, my name is April Stevenson Kender. I'm a biology teacher at Vineland High School, Dennis Tanner Building. I have been teaching now for 17 years. And I have been a community member living in Vineland. My mother graduated from Vineland High School in 1957, her siblings. So I have a very strong desire to have the students of Vineland High School succeed. But we are doing a disservice to our students. We are doing a disservice to my special education students. At the beginning of the year, I was supposed to have a special education teacher. I have over 50 special education IEP 504 students in my class, but they do not have a special education teacher. I work starting at 7 o'clock in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon to make sure my students have an education. I spend my weekends making sure that everything I give them is graded. I make sure that I go over everything with these kids at least 2, 3, maybe even 4 times, because they need and they deserve that support. And I am doing this by myself with over 105 students. What I am seeing is that we are not providing the support for our special education students, and I'm just one teacher. What about the other teachers that are in this predicament? During the pandemic, I was working maybe from 7 o'clock to maybe 7 o'clock at night. I was working weekends. I was on call for parents. They could get in touch with me at any time of the week. On weekends, Sunday mornings, Saturday nights, whatever I needed to do. And I didn't do this because I wanted praise from anybody, but I wanted my kids to learn. And I need you guys to hire special education teachers that are going to be in the room with special education students, because what you are doing is you're taking away their ability to learn in the best way possible. I have teachers who have students in their class who are supposed to have aids, and they can only get aids maybe 2 or 3 times for maybe 3 periods out of 8, out of maybe 6 periods that they teach. These are people and young people who deserve to have aids inside those rooms. What do they use them for? Lunch study. I'm sorry. If we are really about education and educating our students, then these kinds of stories should not be happening. It breaks my heart when I have a student come up to me and say, "Miss Stevenson, I know you taught this to me, but I had to try to learn it myself." I don't want to hear any student say that, especially one that wants to be there and they want to learn. Please don't make this happen. Please hire enough aides and enough special education teachers for my students.
Thank you, Ms. Kinder. Do we have anyone else this evening? Just want to say thank you to everyone that addressed the board this evening. A couple new people had come to the podium this evening, and according to Robert's rules, we cannot exchange in dialogue, but when we talk solutions, this is a big problem, and I can tell you it falls under the day-to-day operations. The board's aware of it, and our superintendent, Mr. Yano, is definitely aware of it, and he is addressing it. Unfortunately, it's not a magic wand, as we all understand that. So I can tell you that it is not something that we're going to say, okay, it's going to go away like the common cold. Mr. Yano has assured me, and I know that he has some plans in place, but it doesn't happen overnight. So the thought process of being part of the solution is exactly something that needs to happen here in this community, and it's bigger than just a board meeting. It needs to be amongst everyone, talking in the neighborhoods and everything. So I thank everyone for speaking tonight, and the board has definitely heard you. At this time, we have motions and resolutions by our superintendent. Mr. Yano, please.
So moved.
Discussion regarding personnel items as noted here. 1.1, approval of the following: retirements, resignations, terminations, leaves of absence, employment transfers, substitutes, extracurricular activities, and volunteers.
Do I have any questions or comments? Seeing none.
Approval, requesting approval regarding personnel item 1.1, A, B, C, and D.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mrs. Cottospotty?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrina?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli? Yes. Mr. English?
Yes. And just a quick comment. I see Miss Carly Daplin O'Donoghue was in the crowd this evening, and I just wanted to welcome and congratulate you to your new position as assistant principal at Many School. Congratulations.
Mr. President, I want to echo those words of congratulations to Carly. Known her for quite a long time, and actually worked with us on the TV crew doing swimming play-by-play, and she did a great job. Good luck, Carly.
Requesting approval regarding procedures and operations 2.1 through 2.6. 2.1, approval of trips, winter trek schedule, and district travel. 2.2, approval regarding the following second readings of the policies as noted here: 1648.13, 1648.14, policy 2425, policy 5751. Item 2.3, approval regarding the 2021-2022 physicians stand-in order. 2.4, approval authorizing the board secretary to enter into an affiliation agreement for the 21-22 school year with E4 USA. 2.5, approval regarding the submission of the New Jersey Department of Education 2020-2021 HIB grade school self-assessment. And 2.6, approval authorizing Vineland High School to participate in the high school and beyond longitudinal study of 2022 in partnership with the U.S. Department of Education's National Center of Education Statistics.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none.
Requesting approval regarding procedures and operations 2.1 through 2.6.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mrs. Cottospotty?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrina?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Mr. English?
Yes.
Requesting discussion regarding 4.1 through 4.13. 4.1, finance, approval of budgetary transfers for general school-based and ECBA for October 2021. 4.2, approval of the board secretary and treasurer report for October 2021. 4.3, approval regarding the placement of special education students. 4.4, approval to accept the following funding: the 2021 dividend release from the Southern Coastal Regional Employee Benefits Fund at an amount of $1,066,009.20. 4.5, approval regarding the appointment for staff of the federal programs of grant-funded salaries. Names are provided and on file with the Secretary of the Board. 4.6, approval regarding the cancellation of outdated checks, provided and on file with the Secretary of the Board. 4.7, approval regarding the donation of outdated old district radios valuing $0 as listed here. This information is on file with the Board Secretary to the City of Vineland under Policy 7300, disposition of property. 4.8, approval regarding a furniture donation valuing $0 to the Code Blue organization under Policy 7300, disposition of property. 4.9, approval regarding a resolution appointing the following changes to Newfield National Bank depositories for student activity account for the time period of December 8th through June 30th, 2022 for John Stone. 4.10, approval regarding the 2022-2023 preschool expansion one-year preschool program plan. 4.11, approval regarding the acceptable renewal of boiler insurance with Hartford Steam through Hardenberg Insurance effective January 1st through December 31st, 2022 in the amount of $15,293.20. Approval regarding the Bikini Mentor tuition contract between VBOE and Gloucester County Board of Education for one student in the amount of $18,120. Approval, 4.13, approval regarding the following Cumberland County Regional Cooperative Transportation Initiatives as noted in A, B, C, and D, 2021-2022, bid 6, 2021-2022 quoted contracts, 2021-22 addenda, and D, fall bus evacuations.
Do I have any questions or comments? Seeing none?
Motion, requesting approval of items 4.1 through 4.13.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mrs. Cataspati?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli? Mr. English?
Yes. Okay, that concludes our superintendent recommendations, motions, and et cetera. At this time, item number 12, proposed item for review or discussion or adoption by board members. We have nothing at this time. I ask now on 13 that we have a motion for the approval of bills that occurred during the month of October 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mrs. Cataspati? Yes. Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli? Mr. English?
Yes. Thank you. At this time, we have no emergent items with prior approval. At this time, do any of my board members have any old/new business? Just real quick, I'm going to hit you with a little bit of old business. With a reorganization meeting coming up in January, I just encourage each board member to look at our current bylaws because we do renew them at that meeting. And I know there's been some discussion throughout the year and past years concerning some of the bylaws, maybe freshening them up a little bit. So you will be adopting them, but you will be able to change them throughout the year. But that's always a good time to just refresh your memory a little bit on what our bylaws clearly say and state. You also will be voting on board leadership, which sometimes can be a stressful time for a lot of people. And, my advice is pretty much when I knew I wanted to be the president, I had no problem letting people know it. And that's exactly what I did. If I had the support, so be it, but I kept it as transparent as possible. So I encourage this board to have that discussion. So it's that reorganization really sets the foundation for the year. So I believe in the united we stand, united we fall format. So I trust that each one of you will work accordingly and find the best candidate for both president and vice president. Okay, board member, superintendent remarks. I had some board members that want to speak last, so I think I'm going to start to my left off with Mr. Rivera. It's my last one here. I'm getting a little emotional, buddy.
No, not tonight, not tonight. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the choir from Pillar School for those 3 song selections. It's tough when you have negotiations. You know, we appreciate you teachers. We appreciate the job that you do, the job that you're doing, the job that you're going to do. And I'm confident that we soon will be getting a resolution to that negotiations. That's my hope. The teachers that came here and the individuals that spoke about the violence that's occurring in our schools, I'm all about solutions, and any solutions that the community may have, we will listen to them. This kind of hit home. This, just before the meeting, this hit home for myself. So I can appreciate parents, teachers, and their concern about the violence that's distracting from the learning in our schools. We can work together and we can figure out some solutions. Mr. English, from the, I believe maybe a couple weeks after I was elected, he was the first one to reach out. And boy, I learned very quickly he can talk. Kept me on the phone for about an hour. Like, man, we just met. But I have appreciated every single phone call since then, because he gives me insight as a new board member about how things work, what's to expect. And he may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I'm a coffee guy anyway. So I'll take it, because I gotta appreciate that. And whatever it is that you have instilled or planning for the future, I wish you the best, because whatever it is, you're gonna be good at it. You're gonna be great at it. And this is not goodbye, because let's not kid ourselves. He's not gonna disappear. He might show up in 1 or 2 or all board meetings just to let us know he's still here, and we'll appreciate that, and we'll take it. So Scott, good luck, all the best to you. Thank you for your support, thank you for your help, thank you for your guidance, thank you for your mentorship. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
And I would like to wish everyone a happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Enjoy it with your family. Quiero desearle a todos una feliz Navidad y próspero año nuevo. Que lo disfrute con sus familias en esta época. Good night. Buenas noches.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Mr. Holmes. Oh, going a little out of order. I know, you know, I'm very methodical, but some people like to speak, so I said no problem.
It's your last meeting. Do what you want to do.
Why should I change now?
Congratulations to Ms. Carly O'Donoghue, the new AP at Menny's. Glad to have you aboard. Thank you to everyone who spoke tonight. What you have to say is important, and we all need to hear it, and we value your opinions. Lastly, Mr. English, with the way that he handles this position, you would think that he made 6 figures doing it. He does it 7 days a week. He's one of the only calls that I'll answer at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. And Saturday, Sunday, he's in it. He's one of the most stand-up guys that I know. He always is upfront with what he has to say, and you never have to guess what he thinks about something. And that is something that is missing nowadays, but something that I admire. And he takes transparency to another level. And sometimes during meetings, he has to stop himself because he wants to be honest and upfront about the issues that we're dealing with today. I know his children and his wife. I went to school with both of his kids, sang in the choir with Nick, and was in class with Nina. His whole family, what you see here, what you see during meetings is nothing compared to who he is at home, for his family, for everyone, his children. So thank you, Mr. English, for your service here on the board. Looking forward to what you do next. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year to everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Costa.
Thank you. I'm going to echo my fellow board members by thanking the Pilla Middle School Choir. It was really wonderful to listen to all of you. To each and every person who spoke tonight, I truly value, from the bottom of my heart, the fact that you care enough to come up and voice your opinions. It makes a big difference to me. We obviously have a lot of challenges that we need to face, and I promise you that we will work along with our superintendent to ensure that these issues and problems are addressed. With respect to Mr. Scott English, I can do one better, Cedric. I went to school with him. So I've known Scott for a long time, and I can honestly say that, and I'm going to, the word that Mr. Yano used was passion. I have yet to meet someone who is as passionate about students, educators, education in general, and their achievement. He really, everything that he says because he wants the very best for each and every one of our kids here in the district. We always talk about how we don't just have our own children, we have nearly 11,000 children that we care for. So I appreciate, and I cannot thank you more from the bottom of my heart for the countless hours. How many conversations have we had about issues, and it never ceases to amaze me. Even if he's in the middle of a job, he'll stop and he'll pick up that phone and he will talk about whatever it is that may be troubling me or something that he anticipates. So definitely I'm looking forward to making sure that that same spirit of transparency and communication continues as we move forward. And I wish you and your lovely family nothing but a wonderful future, and I am sure that in your future endeavors you will put in as much passion to whatever it is you choose to do, and we're going to miss you. To all our students, parents, our educators, I want you to know how much I appreciate each and every one of you. I know that the past 2 years have been a formidable challenge, and I do appreciate how much effort everyone from the bottom all the way to the top has put in to ensure that our children are receiving the best education possible. As stated before, we're going to continue working until we can provide each and every child the very best education and provide them with the best outcome possible. I'd also like to wish each and every one of you a very, very blessed holiday. I hope that you spend time with your families, with your friends, and perhaps reach out to those who you feel might need a little support this year. Wishing them a very healthy and happy whatever holiday it is that you celebrate, as well as hopefully a much better new year come 2022. So thank you very much,
and I look forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you, Ms. Acosta. My Vice President, Ms. Meg Spinelli.
Hello, good evening. I would like to thank Ms. Vicki Miller for her kind words tonight. That really touched me, and your ongoing support. As a parent, I hear the people that came to the podium loud and clear. I am right there with you. I have had my son saying the same things to me. So come the new year, I think that we need to look for solutions, and I'm up for the challenge. I just want you to know that we do hear you, and we are working on it. Scott. There's nothing better than learning from the best. Scott's leadership is like no other. He has taught me so many things about myself and asking hard questions and getting the answers that nobody wants to get. He's pushed me. He has pushed me to be that person, and I'm going to keep his spirit alive, and I'm going to do everything he taught me. He's a phone call away, and I'm sure that he's going to look forward to seeing Meg Spinelli on his phone, because I'm going to keep him involved. We are a community. The board is only a certain amount of people, but there's 70,000 people that live in Vineland, and it's about everyone. It's not just about the people that are sitting up here, and you're going to be involved. I'm going to reach out. We're all going to reach out. And thank you for all your time. We don't always agree, but that's what makes a good team, to hear everybody's sides of things. Thank you for your time. Have a great holiday, and I look forward to all the challenges that we have coming our way and working together in the new year of 2022.
Thank you, Ms. Spinelli. Superintendent Yana.
Thank you for the opportunity to provide a quick update. We have quite a few activities going on the last few weeks. It's been an exciting time and also a challenging time. Most recently, I had the opportunity to meet with our curriculum team and Mr. Fry, where they began to provide data around the state of our district, our Mach 1 update, which is a report on the first marking period. Our special education team has as well presented information. We will be sharing that in the document with you. Very interesting insights and very specific next steps of what we're going to do. Some of the things that we are addressing in there are, of course, chronic absenteeism, student proficiency, achievement, and also discipline. Right? We heard about some of the challenges this evening. We are also looking at that quite deeply as far as the infractions that lead students to be disciplined, and then what happens when a child misbehaves to a level where he or she poses a danger to himself or others. So we are looking at that as a team, along with our human resources team, looking at teacher absenteeism, student absenteeism, and Dr. Sneeden and all of our principals. The holiday times are a challenging time for many. It's a time that reminds us that we should, hug and kiss our family, say hello to a friend, and make connections. Today we were reminded how quickly things can change. We had an emergency situation here at Landis, and our team quickly reacted, but it was also an eye-opening moment where you are reminded about the fragility of, our relationships, our being, and how we have to just be ready to deal with these adverse situations and support each other, love each other, and also recognize that, we have very committed professionals in our building, in our schools, and also in our city, as our first responders came out to support us and assist us, and then making their way to the hospital. So just keep in mind, I don't want to give any more information around that, but one of our colleagues had a challenge today, and we are here sending out our love and our support for our colleague, and we want to make sure that the best outcome is there for us. So we just look forward to all your prayers to support our team in this time of need. I also want to especially recognize Mrs. Pachetti, our supervisor of early childhood. 23 years of service to Vineland. She's been working with preschool that entire time. She served as a classroom teacher, a master teacher, and early childhood supervisor. She dedicated her career to the well-being of Vineland's youngest learners. She has served on numerous state committees and focus groups, helping to refine the preschool standards and P3 and P4 learning goals. She is recognized as a top preschool educator in the state. She is beloved by her preschool family far and wide, and we celebrate tonight her retirement and wish her all the very best. We want her to have a beautiful retirement, and with love we send her recognition tonight, and I hope she has an opportunity to watch this video and know that all of our team members are here behind her, loving her all along the way. I did not have the opportunity to meet her and work with her too deeply. I did have a chance to work with her on a few Zoom meetings, but I know that she is beloved and the team is behind her 100%. I also would like to send a special shout out to Darlene Toro. She was one of the first security guards who I met at Vaughn High School, retiring after 26 years of service. Outstanding career, and I saw her move through that hallway with speed and agility, and it was incredible, the energy she had and the love the kids had for her. Again, another update about social media. Social media is terrible. It is messing our students up. It is causing people to act in ways that we never thought were normal. It's causing kids to have conflict when there's no need for conflict. So again, if our parents are watching this or our community members, please encourage family members, know what is on your child's phone. There is a lot of content that's out there that is just problematic. As a team, we are going to be addressing this. We are addressing it every day. We are working closely with the Vineland Police Department. We're also working with all of our partners at the prosecutor's office, our principals, to try to find a way to help educate our students about the proper use of technology for good, not just for the documentation of kids fighting, acting silly, conflict, just ramping things up. It is not a good use of technology in our schools, and we're going to find ways to combat that purposefully and proactively. We know we heard some reports about Memorial School. Dr. Stephen and I and the rest of our team have been heavily involved at all of our middle schools because of the challenge that we have across the city and across the state. This is not a Vineland challenge. It is a national challenge with students acting out and misbehaving system-wide. We have programs we put in place for social-emotional learning, specifically at the middle school, in anticipation of these types of behaviors. Dana Rodolfo and her team put together a curriculum that we see being used, and it's new, it's fresh, but we are going to make sure that we are challenging our students to engage with that. We're also bringing in community advocates to work with our middle school age students, because that is where there is a major challenge for us. I know in the past, I'm sure middle school was on the radar. Middle school is still on the radar. We need to dump our resources into middle school and provide as many supports as possible to assist our babies. They're still babies. Cunningham Academy this morning had a wonderful breakfast activity. Dr. Sneeden, Mr. Fry, and myself had an opportunity to go there and just spend about an hour talking to our students. And they are Vineland students, they are Vineland High School students. They are amazing children who are doing great work, are preparing for a future, and were able to express what their plan is. And it was exciting to hear about some of our young ladies and what they want to do, after they graduate. Some of our young men, their ideas about sports and how they want to participate. And they've set targets, and the Cunningham Academy team is helping them achieve those targets. So it's just a great meeting that we had today to be able to connect with these students one-to-one. Again, just wanted to point out that social media and social-emotional learning are two major areas of interest and effort, and we will continue to hit those challenges head-on. We will report back to this Board of Education about the specific actions that we're taking to address those challenges. And last but not least, just a special shout-out to Mr. English. The first time I met him, he told me he didn't hire me because he wasn't on the committee that got to select the superintendent, but that he would have my back because he trusted the committee who did their work, and I've sensed that support and that passion, and you get those phone calls and he keeps you jumping because he's asking lots of tough questions. So I hope the next board president and vice president continue that tradition, because we need to hold each other accountable I need to be able to ask you tough questions. You need to be able to ask me tough questions. We need to make sure we ask each other those tough questions and not be satisfied with just a quick response. We need an action plan. We need evidence. We need to monitor. And we need to make sure things are getting better. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Yano. A good board president never gets in the middle of a battle, so I know that Ms. Cataspati and Mr. Sobrano would like to speak last, so is it ladies before gentlemen? How do we want to do that?
I'll do it.
Ms. Cataspati.
As you know, Mr. Silva's not here, but he did send me something and he asked me to read it. Good evening. First of all, I would like to wish everyone a safe and blessed Christmas and a Happy New Year. To Mr. English, as your time on the Vineland School Board draws to a close, I wanted to express my sincere gratitude for your many years of service. As we all know, being a board member is one of the toughest volunteer roles. I stress volunteer, but you, Mr. English, made it your second full-time job with extraordinary dedication, passion, and poise. I will certainly miss working with you as a board member, but I look forward to staying in touch with each other over the years to come. I would like to wish you well on any future endeavor. Lastly, Scott, may you be proud of the work you did, the person you are, and the difference you made. Alex. First, I'd like to thank everyone who spoke tonight. We did hear you, believe that we did. I know our superintendent is working on a lot of those issues. The problems that we're having with the violence over in the middle schools, I know they're trying to be addressed. To the teacher who come and spoke, who said she needed help, we do hear you, believe me, we hear you. And I know we've spoken to the superintendent about so many different things, and I know he's working with them along with his team. To the choir from Dominic Pilla Middle School, wow, is all I can say. What a beautiful, beautiful rendition of those three songs. It was awesome, and it's so nice to see what our students are accomplishing. To our retirees, I say it every time I come up, thank you for your service and dedication over 70 years worth of work, and you've done well, so thank you. Mr. English, where do I begin? I can't believe this is your last board meeting again. I've had the opportunity to work alongside of you on the board for several years. Over those years, we've become good friends, family. There are very few people who have the passion, dedication, and heart for this district that you do. People have no idea what it entails to be on the board, let alone the president. You have given yourself like no other president has that I've worked with. You've always been the one to take the hits and stood by your board. You've always been there to answer questions, to help in any way or guide when needed. You take the bull by the horn when no one else will, and you're not afraid to tell anyone the truth. I could go on and on. However, I'll let it go by saying I can't imagine coming back in January and you not sitting by the gavel. Thank you so very much for everything you've done for the board and the district. You will be missed, Mr. English. I do wish you the best. To the district, from my family to yours, I'm wishing you a very, very happy, merry, and blessed Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cataspati. I guess that wraps it up with you, Mr. Sobrano.
I thought you were going to forget me again. Thank you to the great Pilla Choir and Mrs. LaRue. I have to say, much of the testimony we heard tonight was very concerning, but I noticed our superintendent furiously writing down notes, and I'm confident that we're going to address these issues quickly and fully. And now to my friend, Mr. English. I knew Scott by professional reputation, but we met in person for the first time in front of his mailbox after he called my office and asked me for several DVD copies of school board meetings. He was running for the school board for the first time, and he wanted to be well prepared for a candidates forum that was sponsored in those days by the Chamber of Commerce. I was impressed that he wanted to learn more about the board since his work schedule conflicted with meeting times and he wasn't able to attend. It only took me about 15 minutes to be amazed at how much he already knew about district operations, and more importantly, his passion to do a good job as a board member. I thought to myself, this is a guy who does his homework. Nothing has happened in all those years that's changed my mind, especially his work as board president. I've attended hundreds of school board meetings while directing the broadcast on our cable channels and streaming on the internet, and the rest as a board member since 2016. During that time, I've seen incredible boardsmanship and outstanding leadership. Sadly, I've also seen political shenanigans, pointless debate, rancor, and stuff that would be considered comic if it wasn't so tragic. So we've been truly fortunate to have Scott give so much time and energy to the district and the responsibilities of the Board of Education. In particular, he's a man who understands that collaboration, consensus building, communications, and transparency are not just words. It requires a great deal of work to deal with 9 people of diverse backgrounds, experience, and personal beliefs. In his years of presence, I could always count on Scott to provide me and my colleagues with all the information necessary to vote on important issues without bias or attempt to change our position. It's often said that when some people ask for an opinion, what they really want is an accomplice. Not so with Scott. Of course, we often disagreed on issues, but he listened to me carefully and considered my input when discussing matters with other board members. Along the way, Scott and I became personal friends, but that never interfered with our relationship as board colleagues. Scott, I have to tell you, I'm really grateful for both of those things because rarely do you see them together in a relationship. So I wish you good health and personal success, including your apparent quest for higher office. Now, one other thing. Soon, we will have to decide who will preside over this Board of Education. Anyone who wants to hold that gavel should understand he or she is also just one of 9, not a policymaker and not a judge. Our new president also needs to be fully committed to ongoing, fair, and honest sharing of important information with all board members so we can make informed decisions. Otherwise, we will certainly have a board that's rife with division, false narratives, and split votes that are going to make governing and management of the district incredibly difficult for our administrative team. Folks, we have crucial matters to decide, especially next year, that are going to affect the education and the well-being of our students and the rights of their families, our employees, and the taxpayers of this community. To be effective, we absolutely have to work as a team, despite our differences. On that note, I want to wish a happy holiday to all of our members of the Vineland Public School family, to everyone here, and hope you have a safe and happy holiday period. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sobrana. Alrighty, guys, this is it for me, so I don't know if I want to turn the clock. I want to see if I could do this under 5 minutes or what, but again, thanks for the kind words, first of all, but I never did it for the accolades, guys. It's more business with me, and it starts with what the meeting started with, our students. Anyone who knows me, I support the arts. I love the arts at Vineland. It's about the feeder system. The high school's in good shape when you see a choir like that. I see Mr. Schultz out there. He knows how I feel about his music program. The only group I know that pulled out the Pink Floyd, I still think and talk about that often, my man. It's always about the feeder system. You start with the good foundation at elementary. You get to the most important level, which is that middle level, because that's where it's make or break, and then hopefully they're ready for that high school experience. When it starts with that, that's really what fuels the passion, is what you see from our students. The other piece is the people at the podium tonight. We started with Mr. Brosh, we had Ms. Miller, Ms. Fuller, Mr. Farrell. I hope I get this one right, Mr. Linolin, and then we finished with Ms. Kinder. Ms. Kinder, I feel the passion, man. You know, hey, we know, and it's that guy always talk about the magic wand, man. It's just, we don't have that magic wand, but the man next to me is coming up with the ideas, but it just doesn't happen overnight. Hang in there with this district. What you're asking for, they know it's needed. Don't give up, and you don't strike me as someone that's going to do that, so thank you for coming to the podium this evening and speaking. Mr. Brosh very seldom comes to the podium, so when someone like that comes to the podium, bam. Miss Miller, again, the kind words, hey, we got a friendship, you just never sugarcoat it because I don't have time for that. And that's the way you're supposed to be, all business. The two parents that spoke tonight, that is a cry that we're seeing nationwide. Anymore, it's worldwide. It's really sad anymore because it really does start at home with the respect. And unfortunately, our county, we'd love to be like Princeton, but Cumberland County is a different type beast here. And you know what? We wish everybody had mom and dad at home, but a lot of these children are being raised with a single parent, 3 jobs, things like that. And there's nothing we can do about that. But the one thing we can do is we owe these kids what? An education. And I know we've got great educators out there. It blows my mind. And when I told Ms. Cottaspati, if we can ratify a contract before I'm done on this board, I'll have a special meeting anytime, any place. It doesn't matter if it's noon, night, whenever, Saturday or Sunday. But it's just a matter of getting on the same page. I think the gentleman said solutions and things like that. We're a team, and a team only works as good as the players on it. And when you have a bad play, you don't pick the ball up and leave the playground. No, you have another play and you become successful. So again, the people at the podium, I thank you for that. I'm pretty much a control freak, as you guys are probably surprised to hear that. But I didn't want to forget anything, so I wrote down a couple things. Really, it has been a fast 3 years, and I have to say it's got to be because there was a lot of changes in our district, from superintendent to this pandemic thing called COVID. And you know what? We don't want the COVID virus to define who and what we are. We want to be the people that made it through it, the people that can talk about how we beat it. It doesn't matter if it's COVID, cancer, anything. It's how you finish, not how you start. I do want to start with a quick refresher course on something that means something to me, and I haven't given it to the public or the board in a while. And it's just a refresher course on my 10 commandments that I think really guided me through what I needed when I was having a bad day, because there's certain things that make you what you are. And I want to say them real quick. The 10 commandments of the Vineland Board of Education, according to me. Number 1, fight for what is best for all students and fair for all taxpayers. Number 2, it should never, me, always we. Remember, there is no I in VBOE. A little bit of a Dr. Seussism there. Number 3, listen to what someone has to say, but never assume or commit your answer until you do the homework and know all the facts. Number 4, treat people the way you like to be treated. Number 5, never, ever leave a board meeting wishing you would have said or should have said something. Number 6, be an independent thinker, not a rubber stamper. I think we got that out of the way early on, man. Well, that's for sure. Number 7, be part of the solution, as the gentleman said tonight, not part of the problem. Number 8, it's pretty simple, lead by example. We are public figures that the public put up here. Lead by example. Number 9, when making decisions, it should never be personal. So leave your agenda and personality one place only, and that's in the parking lot. And finally, the thing that gets me through really a lot of life, doesn't matter if you're on the school board, coaching baseball, raising your kids, whatever. CCT, communication, collaboration, and transparency. If we, as a community, continue to practice this, we really can't go wrong. So I got some copies for you if you want that. And now, if the time allows me, I'm really going to miss all this. the regular meetings, the committee meetings, the executive session discussions. I even put this down, union negotiations, budget time, all the student events, the emails, the phone calls, the list truly goes on for miles. It's definitely not the easiest of jobs being a member of the Vineland Board of Education, not to mention being the president and leader of the VBOE. Very seldom do we hear the words, great job, versus always hearing what we should have done or what we should be doing. I know it's our choice to fill out the petition and get the required signatures, which gets our names on that ballot. So it's fair to say we put ourselves out there for the scrutiny of others. I guess it's kind of self-inflicted when you think about it. But until you actually sit up here and are part of the inner workings of the Vineland Public School District, it's so unfair the way we are judged from time to time. My style's always been the same. You never had to worry about what I was thinking. I like being transparent. I like to learn. I have a passion for perfection, and oh yes, I've been told I like to talk or ramble from time to time. Imagine that, huh? I want to take a moment to thank some people. The City of Vineland taxpayers for believing in me and all who have always supported me through the thick and thin over the years. The VBO meeting regulars, Ms. Miller, Mr. Martine, and Mr. Burke, who watches on YouTube and contacts me regularly via social media. All of our district employees from A to Z. The list is huge, and if I named each of you, I'll be going on over my 5-minute limit, and we know how mad my fellow board members get when I do that. I thank you all for allowing me into your buildings and departments over the years, which helped me better understand the daily operations of the Vineland Public School District. I respect and appreciate the employees who stepped out of their comfort zone and opened up my eyes to the realities of our schools. I never gave up my sources from within, and I thank you all for educating me from day one back in 2010 until the present. I also thank the many who have had the courage to come up to the podium, like tonight, for various reasons over the years when they felt we needed to hear another side of what was going on in his or her building or department. Your honesty and transparency was exactly what I always asked for. I know sometimes you didn't like what the outcome or answer was to your question or concern, but I always wanted you to know the truth. We are a big school district full of so many positives that unfortunately get overshadowed by some of the negatives that people continue to dwell on. I couldn't be more proud of all the great things we have done and look forward to a bright future as I watch from the sideline. Some of the people I want to thank from years past, we have Miss Marco, who's spread so thin. She used to cover our district like no other. Unfortunately, many people say, where has the Daily Journal people gone? Where's Miss Marco? Has she left us? No, she's just doing the job of, I think Mr. Zambrana could tell me, about 18 people right now, the way they have chopped things in the newspaper world. Mr. DeSanta, who is not here, Mr. DeSanta was always a straight-up guy with me. I asked him the question. I said, I don't need the sermon. I need the yes or no and tell me why I can and cannot do it. He always was a straight shooter. He was fair. He was honest. And he allowed me to teeter sometimes from time to time and push that envelope a little bit when I probably should have backed off because ethically I could have been crossing that line. But he always gave me the free range and latitude to do as I please. Miss Salerno, time after time, my Cuban friend who talked me off the ledge a lot of times, you know, whether it was a discussion about Dr. Gruccio or our new superintendent, she never told me what to do, what not to do, but she said, maybe you want to try something, or would just lend that friendly ear that I needed because I was probably ready to make a crazy statement or flip a table or two. So for that, I thank you for always being there when I needed someone to talk to. Central administration from years past and to date, Dr. Sneathen, Mr. Fry, Dr. Rossi, Ms. Leary. Ms. Leary, we just got to know each other, so I wish you the best, and you are in one of the toughest positions in the district because there's never enough money and everybody wants more. You have to balance the budget and answer to the public, so best of luck with that. Don't get discouraged. Be the best that you can be, and hold your head up high, and you'll make it. Dr. Rossi, we've grown to such a great friendship, man. Whew. You're a straight shooter. Again, you don't, no BS. It's all business, and that's the way it has to be to get business done. I thank you for the friendship, the honesty, and as I say, the grim reaperness that unfortunately is needed sometimes to make a district successful. The two assistant superintendents, Dr. Sneathen, we've worked a little bit together, but I've known you for a long time. You continue to do great things and bring fresh ideas from the other districts you've been to, and I wish you nothing but the best and success as you continue to grow here in Vineland. Mr. Fry, we go back a lot of years. I actually realized earlier I'm younger than I thought I was. I was told I graduated in '85. Unfortunately, I'm 2 years older. I graduated in '83, so I was younger for a little bit, Nate. But throughout, it's always been professional with you and I. Did we agree? Not all the time. But the science attitude is, you're a science teacher, you'll always be a science teacher, man. There's always a solution, and that's what makes a good assistant superintendent of curriculum. You can't give up. It's all about the solution. So I wish the best of luck to you guys. Former facility director, Mr. Wayne Weaver, taught me so much over the years. Incredible knowledge. As people leave the district, everyone kind of forgets what they did and who they were. If you're lucky enough to get in a new building and read a nameplate, you'll see Mr. Weaver's name on there. We didn't get along all the time, but one thing we shared was a knowledge of facilities and the idea that if you don't take care of them, you won't have a facility to call home, school, office, etc. With that, I thank him, but I also know that he left the district in great hands with someone like Mr. Farinacci, who again probably could rival me, long win for long win, without a problem there, I'm sure. But the district's in great hands with him, and I thank you for the time and the energy you're putting in, because I know you're doing a lot with less, and it's been a stressful couple of years. So just like teachers and everyone else, it's a group effort here. So I thank you. The group that always sits at the table, Mr. Provenzano, Mr. Hall, Ms. Ferrari has left us, but again, Mr. Salerno, Mr. Mustero, Ms. Godlewski, you guys fielded question after question from me, and I probably was a little over the top. But it was only because I needed to know, because I want what's best. And I thank you for not turning me away, opening your doors, continuing to open the doors to me. It meant a lot to me. I probably didn't say thank you enough, but if I ever hurt your feelings, it was only because I wanted what was best, and I believe that's the way to do business. So thank you for the time and the friendships we have created. Mr. Yano, the one thing I worry about this young man to the left of me is the burnout syndrome, because it is a huge district and he inherited some issues, and COVID didn't help it. I think my best advice to you was one that Ron Franceschini gave to me early on as a board member. It was, remember that it is not a sprint, it is a marathon. And yes, your desk is like this, but identify the problem and fix it before moving to the next one, and you're going to be fine, my friend. You have a good board around here and great support. So best of luck to you and good health. Keep an eye on your blood pressure, please. Former Vineland Board of Education members, quick names: Ron, Tom, Pat, Frank, Suzanne, Alan, Eugene, Carlos, Rick, Anthony, Chris, Jeff, Joe, Brian, and Damaris. No special order there. That's a group that taught me a lot and made me what I am today, because different nationalities, different ideas, different backgrounds. I learned so much because you know what? That's diversity. That's what makes Vineland unique. We're so diverse. Awesome stuff there, and I thank them. And to my fellow board members, my 2021 board members, Nick, Cedric, Inez, Kim, Dennis, John, Alex, and my VP, Meg. each one of you. I could start to the left. The good thing, he pegged me early on. I thought that he hung up on me, but he was just sighing, so he was listening to me for that hour and 5 minutes. It was over an hour. It's good to see that he's going to carry the tradition of a bald man being on the board, because you can, everyone wants to be follically challenged. He will rival me at one point. The man has the passion. He brings something that is fresh to the board. Vineland is a huge Hispanic population, and this man eats, sleeps, and drinks not only the Hispanic, the African American, the Indian, the Caucasian. He sleeps, eats, and drinks the passion of what is right for all, but it's great to have him be able to translate as he does different times here, and the future is bright for you, and I wish you best of luck. I'm looking to the left, Mr. Sabrana. Our friendship is really bizarre, because any board member that wants to know anything about Vineland, where do you go? You go to the PR person. That's where it happened. The man sat behind the camera, how many years, 27? Too long. And it's a no-brainer. I want to know what the hell was up with the Vineland Board of Education. What do? You go to the guy that's got the DVDs. I watched him prepare for the form. I said, I can do this. I thank you for that.
And you never recognized the stop sign, not once, ever.
No, but we built a friendship. But again, business is business and friendship is friendship. Many teachers I do work for, I'm friends with, and we try not to talk business, because you don't want to lose a friend over something like that. Friendship should last forever. Mr. Silva, he's not here, but his kind words, I felt it right here. The man works for Bridgeton Public Schools. He's in Cumberland County. He knows exactly what a district like ours is in need of. Why not have someone like that on your board to pick their brain? What a great fit that was for me. Helped me out technology-wise, helped me out with different things, and just to bounce things off him, because, hey, Bridgeton is our neighbor. So, Alex, thank you very much. Mr. Fiocchi, what can I say? The Italian stallion of the group, man. Good-looking guy, but I was a little upset tonight. He chose Bocelli over me. So he's at the concert tonight, which, hey, I probably would have chosen it too if I was him. But make a long story short, you got a guy there that knows finance, passionate. What else can I say about him? But someday he's going to move up the ranks in the politic world and be very good for the state of New Jersey, not only the city of Vineland. Mr. Holmes, you and I go back to as you're my daughter's age, so it's very hard to separate your kids as adults, and it's very hard. But I can tell you, you have grown into an outstanding board member, a fine young man. There's not a time that goes by that I can't pick up that phone and say, hey, I'm in a jam, you got some free time, can you get over there? And it's, hey, no problem, I happen to just be visiting a school. So I gotta be honest with you, people haven't seen me in the last year because I didn't have to worry about it because I knew Mr. Holmes was there. That's it. Some people think he's a substitute, but bottom line, he definitely has the passion, and I know I'm going over my 5 minutes, but I just don't want to leave anybody out. I wish you the best of luck as well, because again, you're one of 9 here, so you know what the challenges are. You represent the youth. The youth is huge. Ms. Acosta, you and I, we go back to, like you said, I think I have a picture running out on the football team. You were a cheerleader. You were escorting me out one day, and of course you were the better looking one in the picture as well. But you're passionate for education and the special education, and really just what is right is what you bring to the table. And we didn't agree all the time, but we had the ability, like you said, to listen. And it really does my heart good to know that I can walk away and say, hey, Mr. Fry's going to be held in check because I know curriculum's your baby. I thank you for that. What you share as a parent as well, it does make you a better board member. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the years of service and the kind words this evening. Ms. Cottaspati, where do we go? Where do we not go? I mean, if Cedric didn't pick up the phone, you picked up the phone, and you know what? If you didn't chair this, you were my go-to. And the reason I think you were my go-to, I know that 5 minutes after whatever happened, you were going to let me know, hey, this is how it happened. I know you represented it like I would represent it. Your passion, I've got young board members and I got senior board members. Your passion, Kim, what can I say, man? You bring it day after day, and you never said no. So what else could a board president want than someone that pretty much does everything that he asks? I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for the efforts. I guess I finish up with Ms. Spinelli. Ms. Spinelli, you know, it's funny. You and I started 3 years ago, and we didn't know each other than names. And I did ask you to support me as board president. And I think the look you gave me was probably, I heard you're crazy, but I will support it. After that meeting, there was a little tension meeting, some heavy-duty stuff we were talking about, and you came out and you questioned me after the meeting because you weren't sure that maybe you made the right decision voting for me because of my style, but I told you, just give me time and we'll grow together. And through that, we have grown to this now, which is a board president that has tried to, I never told you what to do, I just wanted to show you the way it's done. You've listened, you've learned, and I believe you're ready to take the gavel. But one thing that's a key for me to tell you, you said it, you will call on me. One thing that happened, and the reason Scott English came back to the Board of Education was 2 previous board presidents, well, the past before I came back, did not place that phone call. I wasn't going to tell them what to, but I would have helped them. Little encouragement, little guidance is not okay. We don't know everything. And I came back because there was a little housekeeping needed to be done. Now I can walk away. The housekeeping's complete. I thank you for the hours, the phone calls. Sorry it's late, sorry it's early. Weekends. I mean, you have your own job, you have your side business, and you always field the calls. I wish you nothing but success, because it is not the easiest of positions. We say 3 minutes, we let people talk for 4 minutes because that's what we do. It's something that you're going to be good at. Don't try to be great overnight, okay? You're going to do great. I thank you for everything. Oh, God, I'm closing. And finally, my family, Nicholas, Nina, Anita. I couldn't have a better family. The best. You put up with a lot because, in case I didn't tell you, I do answer phone calls during the workday. I apologize. They just busted me, my board members. But you allowed me to do this, and I thank you. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to serve as a member of the Vineland Board of Education. In closing, the goal for me was to always make a difference. If I accomplish that, my goal has been fulfilled. I wish everyone a happy holiday season and a safe new year. It really has been an honor to serve on this board. I wish you the best of luck, Renee, because it's a challenge. Ask questions, you will get answers. You got a great group. You're going to do great things. With that being said, for the last time,
So moved.
I ask for a motion for adjournment this evening. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and have a good night, and God bless everyone. Thank you. No, thank you, guys, and I'm sorry for rambling, but you don't have to worry about that anymore.
How long? 24:41.
I so apologize.
Get out.
I'll be emailing the
out.
Hey, we got to do the quick board thing, and then we're out of here. Oh, God.
We have to do our holiday thing.
I apologize, man.
He's trying to do our
It was captain of defense, and you know what? Don't ever leave it in the locker. That's right. Leave it all on the field, baby. Unfortunately, Vineland didn't do that against Millville. But,
Sorry, Millville went the distance this year.
Don't worry, I'll kiss my kids tomorrow. Forget about it.
that's it. Board members, thank you for the kind words, man. You guys touched my heart. Dennis is going to finish. He's